So I picked up some things in the innings that you just showed, the dismissal there on that little piece, that wasn't him. He was not being himself. He wasn't doing the things where that little trot bubble, and he was doing different things. And so there was, to me, it looked like there was something going on anyway. But yeah, look, it's horrible that he actually had to walk away and come away. But at the same stage, it's now the path to happiness. And I know that sounds quite flippant, but it's good that he can now get the help and hopefully become a happier person.
And no doubt a really hard decision to make, to actually leave what he loves doing to come home because he isn't well. And James, it's not the first time, is it, that a high-profile cricketer has suffered from stress-related illnesses?
No, there's been a series of high-profile cases, and the nice thing about it is that in each case, people have been prepared to talk about it, and I think as a result of that, support for those people has got stronger and stronger. I mean, they mentioned in the Trott case that it was a long-standing issue that he had been dealing with and he had been coping with normally, particularly well. However, at the moment, it looks like it's something that he's not quite able to cope with.
And Iain, you can empathise, can't you, with Jonathan? I mean, what are your experiences of suffering from mental illness or stress-related illness in the game?
Yeah, look, I suffer still with anxiety and depression. I take my medication, and I don't go and see the counsellor as often as I should, but I'm certainly in a lot better place. But look, it's hard.
How did you cope, though, at that level of high-profile cricket? And I suppose when you were suffering, were you talking about it as much as maybe people are talking about it now? It must have been very difficult, a very lonely experience.
It was lonely, that was a choice that I made. I struggled in a lot of social situations, and that was the anxiety that built up that then sent me down a hole, because I just couldn't. I found it very difficult to talk to people, and that was how I suffered. That was how I ended up in bad places. So I would hide myself off in my hotel room. And I wouldn't go, and I hated being in the change room. I really didn't like that, and I didn't like team meetings. I loved being out there in the middle because I didn't have to talk to anyone. I could just go and play. And I could switch the two things off. But actually being on tour, so deeply immersed in cricket, you can't escape it, and you're always critiquing yourself, you're always critical, you're always watching replays, you're always hearing the media talk about it, and eventually something goes and something has to give up, and it's a tough little ask. It was a big tough ask to be away for such a long time.
Yeah.
And to be normal.